Hello, my name is Sam, and today I'll be presenting the findings of my career research project. While a lot of people's research focused on jobs, I feel that the next step in my career is advancing my education with an MBA. Not only because I value my education, but because I want to make myself more marketable to employers. And that being said, what I'm interested in is finding out how I can get the highest starting salary based on what grad school I go to. So that is my dependent variable. The independent variables that I'll be looking at that will tell me the characteristics of grad schools and what I should be looking for if I want to get a higher starting salary, those variables are annual full-time tuition, the number of full-time enrolled students, the average GMAT scores of people in the MBA program, the school's acceptance rates, the percentage of students employed upon graduation, and whether or not a school is public or private. So to gather this data, I pulled 60 observations from a list of thousands from the U.S. News and World Report Best Colleges list. So we can see some of the interpretations of this data right here. To illustrate the relationships between the 6 independent variables I identified and average starting salary, I decided to put some graphs together to show you guys. Here you can see the relationship between tuition and average starting salary. As you can see, this line has a slightly positive slope, but the data points are not very closely clustered around the line at all, meaning that this is a very loose correlation. But still, generally speaking, higher tuition tends to mean a higher starting salary. Here is another graph displaying the loosely positive relationship between the two. Here is a graph showing the relationship between class size and starting salary. So once again, you can see a positive slope. But once again, these data points are not very closely clustered around this line at all, and there do appear to be a few outliers over to the right. So what this means is that a larger class size will generally mean a larger salary, but once again, this is not a very accurate metric of how much you'll earn. So here you can see the positive relationship between GMAT scores and average starting salary. So this relationship is more positive, and the data points are closer to the line than in the previous two graphs we saw. So when I'm looking for a business school, I better make sure that I'm looking for one with higher GMAT scores, because that will probably mean that I'll earn more. Here you can see a negative relationship between acceptance rates and starting salaries. So a school that accepts more people will likely produce graduates that earn less. So when I'm selecting a school, I better choose one that has a low acceptance rate. Here you can see the relationship between the percentage employed upon graduation and starting salary. This appears to be a positive relationship. This could be explained by everyday reasoning. When the best graduates come out of school, employers will be competing for them, so not only will they be hired faster because they're more desirable, but they'll also be paid more for the work that they do. Here you can see a graph showing the makeup of my sample. 34 of my observations were public schools and 26 of them were private schools. This in and of itself doesn't mean a whole lot, but here we have a little table showing the relationships that whether or not a school is public or private has on the other 5 independent variables as well as starting salary. So here you can see the average tuition is about $10,000 higher, the average enrollment is about twice the size, the average GMAT score is actually slightly lower for private schools, average acceptance rate is actually slightly higher, which is a bad thing, the average percentage employed upon graduation is higher, and the average starting salary is a whopping 12 grand greater. So that is what I'm interested in, so it looks like a private school would be the way to go. We were able to see the relationships between these 6 variables and average starting salary. Upon running my actual regression, I found out that tuition was not significant to average starting salary, nor was the number of full-time students enrolled, nor was the percentage employed upon graduation. So the only real criteria that are telltale signs of how much I would earn upon graduating are the average GMAT score, the acceptance rate, and whether or not a school is public or private. So when I'm looking for a business school within the coming years, I should be looking for one that requires a high GMAT score, I should be looking for one with a low acceptance rate, and I should make sure that it's private. So this research was quite helpful to me in determining what criteria I should be judging business schools based on. I hope that my research was helpful for you guys, and I appreciate your viewing. Have a great day.